All right. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. I told you I'd be back. I'm going to let this loop play for a second while I wait for a couple people to enter the chat room here. We've got a new X flare that just happened here. So, while I'm waiting for people, here's our solar ham. Now, as you can see, we've had our latest X flare here, a 2.8 just now. And we're coming out of this, descending out of this X flare right now. And just to kind of open this up real quick, take a look down here. As you can see right here, our maximum was X 2.8, all right, and it's still X, well, it ended at X 1.3, but it's still currently at M 2.1 and declining. All right, but we just had our first X flare here, probably out of 3691 here, probably. And I wasn't going to do a show. I was about to lay down, go to bed. We're going to skip a show tonight. And something said, get up, you're doing a show. So here we are. First off, let's go back here real quick. Start off like we normally do. Get this brightened up a little bit. Okay, good for maximum. All right, here we are. May 26th. Whoops, is it getting in the frame now? There we go. May 26, 2024. We got the loop playing here, and as you can see, there's a little event right there coming out of this like spire region here. I'll move my pointer. Okay, but that's not our event. That's not what caused the X flare. The X flare is so fresh and just happened that the data isn't up yet. But this was the data from today, the 26th. And as you can see, we had small little object right in there somewhere, pulling out plasma again as usual. And then we've also got some severe weather right now, tornado warnings for Gunterville, Arab, Gunterville, Albertville in northern Alabama. Okay, and we'll get to that a little bit here in a minute. All right, meantime, let's get back over here to our solar ham. As you can see, we just had our X flare right there. You can see that it hit here a little bit. That's our current one. Let me open up a new D layer. The actual D layer right there. Let's open up this movie and see our impact. Okay, so here we go. I can control it here. We'll take it on down. It should be right there. Boom. So it hit Asia, Russia, Northern Africa, the Indian Ocean area. Okay, so it didn't hit us. It hit that region. Probably R3 radio blackout right there. It's a pretty healthy hit right there. Okay, so still kind of currently, well, it's diminishing now. And that's the current state we're at. But just a little bit ago, bam, X 2.8 hits this region right here, and that's also more energy being absorbed by our planet. Okay, and I'm a stickler for absorption because that's gonna affect us in different ways. So there's your D layer. And there it is currently. So X flare potential, remember I was saying it should be a little bit higher because we had this beta gamma delta configuration. Well, that's why. That's why I was saying that, because I had a feeling we're going to see some activity out of that thing. All right, so back to our kind of normal report. X flare potential should be up higher now. Okay, M flare potential should be up higher as well. Our geomagnetic forecast, this will probably change here on the 29th now that we've had this X flare. Our solar indices are still pretty low right now, which is good. But that was a pretty healthy blast to get it out of low indices all the way up to X 2.8. So that was a pretty powerful blast right there. Okay. And if the light from it hit us, we'll probably get a glancing blue. All right. Still so fresh that they're not sure here. So now a correction I want to make here. The other night when we were talking about 3663, and I said it was the one that produced the 12X flares, I was wrong. It was 3664. This is the other bad boy that's rounding the limb now. Okay. So here we go. 3664, the source of the 12X class solar flares between May 8th and the 15th, and multiple Earth directed coronal mass ejections that led to a historical extreme geomagnetic storm on the 10th and 11th, is now located just behind the southeast limb. We will begin to see the sunspot region turn back into view during the next 24 hours. For what it's worth, no major coronal mass ejections were observed off the far side of the sun since the full halo event of May 20th. All right, so I make mistakes every once in a while, and when I do, I like to correct them. I was referring to 63 as the one that produced the 12, but it was 64 that produced the 12. It's the one that's now rounding the limb, but we still have 63, old 63 right here, which is now 91. I believe it was 63 jumped and sparked to 64 or something like that and caused one of the X flares, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, this is the old region 63 up here that I was talking about last night, and it's actually going to be rounding the limb down here, 64, old 64. So when I was saying, oh, we'll be seeing that in 2 weeks and talking about it, and I was referring to 63 the whole time, this region, it was actually 64 that I meant to be talking about. So I make mistakes, so I like to admit it as soon as possible, make the correction, and then move on. Okay. Now that we've made that correction, no matter what, we still have two dangerous sunspot regions. This one has already rounded the limb, and we have the next one. It's going to be a long couple weeks here. Now, here we are with our first X flare. It probably came out of 91 here because it's the only one that's beta gamma delta. All right. Right here, let's open up our KP real quick. You can see we've had just a little bit right here. Nothing much, nothing higher than KP3. So nothing too much. Our auroras are pretty dim and stuff right now, which is good. You know, we're not taking on a bunch of energy and absorbing a bunch. We did absorb a bunch of X-rays just now. Okay. I doubt if it's even being tracked yet, but let's just take a peek, shall we? Now that looks like yesterday's data. This one's still old. Yeah, still so fresh and new. I mean, it's still currently underway that there's not that much. Now, here's our sunspot group, okay? And we were talking last night how, you know, this white plaque around the edges, it's not as organized as it was before. Well, we got new updates here because let's come over here and get to spaceweather.com and check it out. An increasing chance of flares. First, watch the movie. So let's watch this little movie real quick. All right, it's really, I wonder if I can get it a little bit bigger. Well, what I'm going to try to do is this then. Watch how it grows in size. And complexity. All these different little sunspots start to pop out of this plaque. You see that? And then we have this sunspot right here that's looking like that eye feature that's just perfectly round. Has no like randomness to it. It's too structured. All right, so here you can see this thing starting to blossom now and get bigger with more sunspots and creating a grumpy face. All right, so there was that. No one. There we go. All right, well, it was 125. Hang on. There we go. So we watched the movie. Now, that's Sunspot 91. It has doubled in size since yesterday. Since last night when we were reporting on it, that thing doubled in size. And it has the beta gamma delta magnetic configuration that harbors energy for X-class solar flares. What did we just see? An X-class solar flare. The chance of Earth-directed eruptions will increase as the sunspot turns towards our planet this week. Well, came true. We just had one. Okay. Lunar pollen corona. Little rainbows created by pollen and other particulates in the air, especially pollen this time of the year. Pine pollen gets really thick in the air and can create, different angles. The light bends at different angles. Describes it all here in this wonderful little article right here. Pollen coronas appear when light is scattered from the outside of pollen grains. Okay, so cool little article. Sometimes you see, this was around the moon. This isn't the sun. This is around the moon. Lunar. It's springtime in Finland, and you can see the signs in the heavens. Airborne pine pollen is creating beautiful rings of light around the sun and moon. Photograph May 24th. Okay, so that X-class flare probably came out of 91. All right. Now let's come over here to our Schumann real quick. And, oh, dang, man, really? All right. Well, I was going to report on this little grinding right here. Just a quick little stab at the brakes. Like you got, old brakes and they're grinding or whatever, and you stab them real quick. You hear a little bit of grinding. Well, a little pulse, but it tapered off. You see how pressure built up pretty quick and it started grinding, but it tapered off. Now look at right here. We have this white solid line going all the way down past the 40 hertz. So it's white past 40 hertz. We're getting a big grinding session right now. All these frequencies from 0 to 40 and beyond are very intense right now. Okay, so my ears might be ringing, or you might be experiencing some pain or dizziness. It affects people differently. Now, indication that pressure down below has built up again. Right here, you can see it. It tapered off, but bang, it's right back again. So, especially with that X flare just hit us, we're so close at the boundary there that any little impulse, any little hiccup can make it, grind really quick little pulse like that until pressure relieves. Well, right now pressure's building. It's very high pressure because our dynamo really squeaking really hard, grinding really hard. Okay, producing, very strong frequencies. Whoops. What happened here? We've missed an instrument here. Let me pull up the null school real quick here. You want the Earth wind map, not the Tokyo map, unless you live in Tokyo. Okay, our upper jet stream right now. A little different configuration than yesterday. More of the broadening here, going up and then coming, and now they're mixing together more easterly here, this eastern side of the country instead of in the middle here. All right, but that's your upper jet stream. Watch how it correlates to your lower. Okay, now this is your lower jet stream. We got the flow from the Pacific Northwest coming across the northern plains, flow coming across Mexico, Texas, and then finally, take this down for me. Meeting up together here in the Appalachian Mountains right there. And that's right where we're having our storms right now. And they're getting, we're we're seeing some different kind of activity blossoming here. Even at night, even in the morning hours. I was busy watching my favorite streamer. He came on late at night and was like, hey, I got to report on this stuff. There's stuff happening. So that's another reason why I was late tonight. Getting all in there. All right. So here's our big storm. You can see the way its motion is pulling air, cold air in. It's also drawing this moist fetch out of the moist warm fetch out of the Gulf here. You mix that with this, bingo. All right, so we're having well, just these just right configurations where it induces violent weather. Okay, so there's your weather for the moment. We'll get into our forecast of the other instrument here. But what I want to do is I want to come over here and get your sandstorm going real quick. Okay, very violent, not violent sandstorm, but very huge, very big, long lasting, going all the way across the Atlantic. We got the Caspian Sea totally covered in sandstorm. This big plume coming out of the Gobi Desert region. Okay. And then look how India is all kind of covered in sand. Saudi Arabia all kind of covered in sand. You can see it drifting up here into the Mediterranean, skirting Spain here a little bit. All right. Sorry. I did some adjustments to my camera, and now it seems to be showing up on my end a lot better than before. So I think a lot of these times when I didn't think you could see stuff, you probably could pretty well because my settings on this camera weren't all the best. All right, let's get into it. America, the country divided. One side bleeding out, the other side kind of speckled and stuff. How does he do that every time? Where are the wavy lines? Get him out of there. All right. Now, let's zoom in really quick. As you can see down here in the southern regions, still flooding going on in these areas. There's no SO2 coming out of the ground because of the flooding. Right around there, too. Bing, bing. Okay, so then when that happens, when some of these little holes get plugged up a little bit, the surrounding ones compensate, and you see a little darkening or, a little flare up around the ones that are around the proximity of the other ones that are plugged up. So, but a lot of SO2 coming out of the ground. There's a lot of pressure built up down there. And before we had 4 little dots, and now we got the whole world bleeding out. Then we come over here to China, adjust for their time. Boom. And you can see that they have lots of pressure going on in their region, lots of dark spots right there. Okay, that's a lot of pressure underneath. There's a big perforation in the crust right here, letting this huge gas plumes out. And maybe you don't detect this gas that much, but it's not healthy. This is a poisonous gas. These people are slowly being poisoned by breathing the air too. And then look at India. And look at Saudi Arabia over here. Let me pull over to Europe, and it looks like a side of beef that's been shot with a shotgun. So coming out all over the place. Let's take a little peek down here as well, down at our relief valve here at Java. Okay, more towards the northern tip of the island here than down the rest of the island. But you can see a lot of gas coming out of this area. Dark purple right there indicates a lot of pressure, pushing out a lot of gas. So our little relief valve showing, indicating a lot of pressure. Here, let's go into Taiwan here. This X-flare might be the push that the West Coast needs to spring off an 8 or 9 magnitude earthquake. We'll see if the CME hits us and we absorb the CME from it and take on another big or, healthy geomagnetic storm. Yes, that could possibly happen. But the flare itself, just the X-rays, maybe not. But the CME, if it's a big one, we take it right on the chin, that could increase pressure down below. Yes. And then we see here at Japan, they got SO2 coming out of their volcanoes too. This is a volcanic island system. Okay. And then a lot of SO2 coming out right here at our fulcrum point, just outside the fulcrum point right here. On the other side of the island, right there, there's a lot of SO2 coming out of there. It's relieving pressure in the area. And there's a lot of pressure because look right next door here at China. They're under a lot of pressure, aren't they? Oh, they have no idea how much pressure they're truly under. They only see this little physical world. They have no idea the spiritual ramifications. And Africa got little hit and miss spots here. A little weak spot in the crust right there, pouring out right there. Spots down here at Southern. So now let's come on over here. We got to adjust back for our time. All right. Everybody on South America doing their thing. Every once in a while, I zoom in to show you these are all individual sites. Okay. It's not like one spot and it's a plume blowing down the coastline. These are all individual sites. All right. And then right here at our fulcrum point, wow, look at this. All right. You know, we're used to seeing one little square box right here, our main one. Look how wide it is now. Look how it blends in with this one. This thing's all one big blob. This upper one is very dark and very dominant. Our new add-on right here is pretty dark and dominant. That whole cluster right there is a cluster now instead of our one little spot that we're used to checking, right? Usually we come to this area and check the one little dot. And then the other ones occasionally flare up. Well, this time we're seeing all 5 of them. Well, not so much that one, but it's all kind of blended together now. So there's a lot of pressure underneath right here, this fulcrum point. And thankfully, it's relieving pressure all the way down the coast here because that's what's keeping this area from having a big boundary rupture quake. And this is the area that has the big ones. It holds the world record for the largest quake. Okay, so we're done there. I want to come over to the ocean. Surface temperature anomalies. Might have to go back. Yes. Oh, we got to check calendar on this one because they do this yet every once in a while. We're on the 27th. Let's see if we can get the 25th at least. No? You know what? I'll try the 26th then. Okay. And I'll go. Oh, all right. So we are. No, that says the 22nd. Well, here's the 25th. Let me try one more time here. 26. Okay. Now let's go back 1 hour. Well, that's a day. Let's go back 8 hours. No, that's the 26th. 24th. 25th. All right, so I guess This is our newest data right there. Let me see if I can go an hour. Nope. All right, so yeah, 525. That's about the closest we can get on our data. And as you can see, this has turned into one big giant area now. It used to be just this. Then we saw a little bit growing out here. It was red, then it got bigger, turned orange. Now it's big and yellow. This one is connected. There was separation in between them. Let's just do this real quick. I know this one's kind of scary when we do this, but I'm going to position it over there because when we pull up the calendar, you see it still through the calendar right there, okay? I'm going to go back 2 weeks. We'll go back to the 10th, and I'll watch the difference in that dot. That's the 10th, or, well, showing the 11th, about 2 weeks ago. That's how much it's intensified in those 2 weeks. Here, let me put the middle strip right there. So you can see this middle area right here. There'll be some separation here. We'll go back to 3 weeks. We'll go to the 3rd. Yeah. All right. So look at this little calendar. This is the 3rd of May, 2024. May 3rd, it looked like this. 3 weeks later, on the 24th, it looks like that. It has grown that much in intensity in the 3-week period. Meanwhile, we still have this hot spot off of Japan. Over here by Taiwan, we don't have this yellow hot area. It's all kind of cooling off in this region. We have cold water inundation around the region. We also have that gas plume coming out of there. So our little relief valve here doing its job here at Taiwan. Meanwhile, just off the coast here, we got even in this bay here, it looks like there's some speckling going on around here. Then here's our other relief valve, Java. Note the cold water around it. This is a tropical region, yet it's got cold water right there because cold water inundation where there's heat missing and all the relief is coming out of that area. So there's heat missing and we have cold water inundation there. So little relief valve right there doing its job. Kind of looking around the planet, some of the other places, hot spots growing off of there. You look at this down here. We'll add the current to it really quick. Going a little bit tighter, and then we'll just let that current kind of play. And you can see that it comes out of cold water, goes into hot water, back into cold, to hot, to cold, to hot, to cold, to hot, up to cold, back to hot. So it's not like there's a region of hot water that's pumping hot water over here. No, this is a hot spot. That's a hot spot. These are the hot spots. And then we take the current out of there. The hot spots are what causes the current. They cause the cold water and the hotter water to separate. Let me take the current off. There we go. And create boundaries. And then you get currents from those boundaries. Hot water, wants to make it up to the top. Cold water wants to sink, and it creates little currents. And the currents follow the hot and the cold. We got some issues going on down there. Same with the tip of South America. Off the coast of South America as well. Africa. My bad. South Africa. The west coast of South Africa. Then over here to South America, not so bad, but they got their little issue going on right there. And then you can see cold water inundation right here. This is La Nina taking effect right in this region because hot water up above. All right, let's get on over to our earthquake report now. So we've had some more earthquake activity, so let's get in here. Here's our deep quake activity region, our 4.3 down at 600. Okay, let me just get that in the screen a little better there. 4.3 down at 600, mid-range 4 down at depth. The big one here, please, a 6.6 down at 112. All right, so let's pop this tsunami thing open and see what NOAA reports it as. All right. They got it at a 6.6 as well. All right, so everybody agrees that it's satanic. I mean that it's a 6.6. All right, so we got a 6.6 down at 112. Result of our deeper activity, even the ones that we saw yesterday, because there was 3. Over here, we got a 5.0 at the plate boundary, relieving energy right there. That's probably from both of these right here, cause this. Let me get that out of there. Now, note how quiet this region is. We had a little bigger quake right here yesterday, but all quiet through there. We pop up here. There's a 5.2 down at 35. Right here is a 4.7 down at 43. 4.5 at the surface, relieving energy. Coming up here, this is our weak spot where we had the big quake and the swarm earlier this year. 4.4 right at the surface, right next to the plate boundary right here. It's not on the boundary, but it's next to it. So at the surface, relief and pressure going up the system. Nothing at the fulcrum point today. Nothing up through the rest of that system. But look what happened over here. All clear up through here because we got volcanic activity. Fulcrum point quake, 5.1 at the surface. Now, let me pull back, just get this out of the way. When I take my pointer and I put it right there, and it's kind of square shaped too, and I put it right in there and I push, and it pushes up those mountains, that would put pressure right next door right here. You see this little ridge? You see this structure? How these mountains were built? Okay, that's a fulcrum point. It's just off. Look, there's multiple fulcrum points. Right here, this thing is square shaped, so there's energy that pushes up that way, energy that pushes out this way, and then a main thrust all kind of through the area. So fulcrum point quake is out in these pressure waves out here. These mountain ridges were formed by this plate pushing up in against this plate. It's like the skin being pushed and wrinkled together. You get weak spots and faults right out there. 5.1 at the surface, relieving energy. Lake region, 4.4 at the surface, relieving energy. Coming up over here to our spot above the Gobi Desert, 4.1 at the surface, relieving energy. Fulcrum point quakes right here. They're just a little bit deeper off in the... You see how the shape of this right here? See the same shape up there? It's just pushed the dirt. Like a shovel pushing dirt. All right, well, that's still the fulcrum point up here. 4.3, that's down at 121. And 4.2 down at 173. Very thick mountainous region. Hard crustal zone right there. So it's hard for stuff to squeeze out right at the surface. So down underneath there, though, we got this light 4.2, 4.3 energy. Coming over here now. We have 4.1 here in Iran. Not much on their plate boundary yet. That'll change. We come over here to Greece. They had a 4.5. That's good. We could use more of that activity in this region, relieving energy in this area. We got Campi Flegrei here. It's going to be a very big problem if we don't see more energy being released in this area. It's just simply not enough. Personally, I think from what I see come in and what I see register here, it just does not equate properly. Back to this 4.1 here at the Straits of Gibraltar above Monaco there at a depth of 10. So energy being relieved here. You see this small little plate boundary running through here, the very end of it right here. It tries to connect and loop around here. Hopefully, there you guys can see it when I kind of, there it is. Yeah, now you can see it. So this area, again, much like the other region, been pushed this way. And all this has been dug out, pushed up until it came up out of the water. There's still a little channel right here where water is able to feed through, bleed through, and escape, and that's the Straits of Gibraltar. But you can see this whole plate boundary is all one big, almost like a peninsula shape, right? Like a big finger type shape. And that would be out, not at the fulcrum point, but inside of it. 4.1 at 10. This is an interesting area. I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot more activity in this area, especially with this fault structure the way it is. See this zigzag, very, very jagged fault line with fulcrum points. It's not a smooth kind of like this. It's fulcrum point, fulcrum point, fulcrum point, point, sharp zigzag one, almost like our Juan de Fuca, similar zigzag zipper shape. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more activity in that region and out here at this three-way junction. But we will, even though it's quiet. You'll see. Can't really get into it too much here. Now, let's get back over here. This area was very quiet. Up here at the Kamchatka, we have 4 volcanoes going off. So to have an earthquake here, a 5.2 as well, down at 121, that's not at the surface relieving pressure. It's not on a plate boundary. It's not a fulcrum point. That is right next to these volcanoes that are out here. So a lot of pressure in this region, volcanoes relieving pressure, as well as we just had a 5.2 up there at 121. I see that. That tells me there's some pressure down coming up. All right. We're seeing an increase of magnitude in that pressure. Usually this region, we are seeing, 3s or maybe a 4. 5.2, 121. Not at the surface, not here at the fulcrum point. I'm wondering what's going to make it over here. 3.7 there. What's this fulcrum point? 3.4. All right. Well, we had some make it over. 3.3. Yeah, because that was 3.4. I was going to say 3.4 or less. So there's 3.3 at the surface right there. Plate boundary quake. Just inside on the plate, 2.6 at the surface. Our three-way junction right here, fulcrum point 2.6. That's really shallow at 5.2. Just inside our fulcrum point, pressure comes in and gets relieved inside on the other side of this here. That's 2.5. All right, now we need to open this up. Sorry, I need to look up here a little bit. All right, so what happened here? We had a little quake swarm right here that relieves some energy. 3.7, 4.1, 3.6. They're not very big, but you add those all together, there's a 5. That's 5 worth of energy being transferred down this way. A little off the island here. What's that? Okay. Now, as we come up here, you can see little swarming going on up here in microquakes. That's good. So it pinnacle to hit the apex or the fulcrum point up here. Again, with these plate boundaries, you see how this one is shaped arched like this, right? That's not the fulcrum point. You see how the mountains copy it up here? The same shape, all right? Again, with the shovel pushing along like this, pushing land up, pushing it up higher, creating all these mountain ranges in Alaska. You can see that this same shape is copied in the coastline and it's copied up here. And there's your fulcrum point and a bunch of quakes leading up to it. Then we come down the other side. And right here, this would be kind of the other side of the fulcrum. Here's your total tip. These three little quakes right here are relieving stress right there at the fulcrum point. And then as it comes down, it's losing some energy. 3.3, little scrubs there and there. What's going on here? Sorry, I gotta do a thorough quake thing. All right, and boy, Washington. Okay, now I want to really see what's going on at the geysers here because that swarming kind of stopped and it had been going very, very strong for quite a while. And now we're getting a couple of 2-pointers, but that's nothing compared to what we used to see there, is it? I mean, we have 4 quakes when we used to seeing 25 to 30 there every day. So a little plug up maybe in release of pressure there, or there might be another little spot upstream that's found up. Nah, that's not it. That may be relieving pressure. Nah. All right, now down this region, we got lots of little microquakes. That's good. I want to see if we have a swarming spot here. That's okay. We could use a good little weak spot out here that just starts swarming a bunch of little microquakes. All in all, they're kind of spread out. That's good. That's a lot of little microquaking, dispersing energy out small over a wide area over the course of time instead of something big hitting right there. If all of those were combined into one quake, yeah, oops, that's not what we want. We'd rather see that. A little swarming going out here. We don't know what's going on here. I also want to take a peek around our little. Make sure everything's nice and quiet in this region. New Madrid looks quiet. Good. Cocos Plate, 4.3 down at 66. Just off our fulcrum point, 5.0 down at 9.7. And a 4.4 at 227. And it looks like that's all she wrote. One more real quick that we didn't touch on. Oh, we did. That's the lake region. Okay, so yeah, I expect to see maybe a little more activity out of the Straits of Gibraltar there. They're lucky they haven't had any, but activity relieves the pressure too. So that's kind of what we need. All right, so there's your your earthquake. Let's get on over to our volcano. Let me get some of these other instruments down because they chew up space in my computer's brain or whatever that is. And we'll leave it to that. Now, Lord, please let the volcano page work. Been one of those days where I've learned I just gotta slow down and say a prayer before each little thing. Oh my goodness, it exploded on my TV, on my screen here. What the heck happened there? My screen blew up. Can we have that unzoomed or something? What's going on? All right. Hang on. The little circle's spinning. It's thinking, should I do this report for him or not? All right, here we go. Where are we already? Got something set up. All right, cool. We're already on the 27th May. Stromboli, everybody is already waking up, okay? Ibu, Songay, Villarica, Luatolo, White Island again. Okay, so here we go. The steam plume coming out of this is Stromboli. Okay, so everybody in Italy, Stromboli's waking up. The National Institute of Geographic and Volcanology reported that the new Hornito formed atop the volcano recently during a field trip. Found 6 crater vents active, 4 in the north, 2 in the south. The latest bursting lava spattering phase has been constructing a new steep-sided cinder cone. Okay. Bursting lava spattering phase has been constructing a new steep-sided cinder cone. Ibu here at 24,000. Yeah, Ibu had a blast to 24,000. Luatolo, 6,000. Songay, 21,000. Villarica, steam emissions. Here we go again. White Island in Antarctica. Surveillance cameras recorded another vigorous steam gas plume dissipating above the island on May 25th. The footage was from a Wakatane camera. Indicates that the activity has been very similar to the moderate event on May 24th. Hence, the alert level for the volcano remains at 3. Okay, let's get into the 26th here, shall we? And maybe, just maybe, I will do... Yeah. There you can see our map with all our volcanoes. Stromboli, Etna, watch out, Etna might wake up here pretty soon. All right, back to business. This is the same 24,000 foot blast out of Ibu. Semeru, 14,000. Marapi, across the way on Sumatra, 13,000 foot blast. Dukono, 10,000 feet. Popocatépetl Novie, Santa Guito. That one mild explosive. Okay. Fuego, 16,000. Nevada del Ruiz again with the semi-active 21,000 foot blast. Songay in Ecuador still going. 14,000 out of Reventador. Sabancaya, 26,000. All right, we had a 24, a 26, a 21, a 20. So we're seeing some of these higher blasts. That's pressure being relieved, shooting these blasts to higher altitudes. The higher the altitude, the more energy, the more pressure it took to shoot it up that high. Okay. All right. Active list currently erupting. Minor activities. So all these you can read on yourself. These are ones that we usually cover. Watch out for Etna, Cotopaxi as well. We got pressure on the rise. Kilauea might have some earthquakes forming. Nevada del Ruiz, put it back over here because we got pressure going. Rayong on East Java. Watch that one. It'll probably, once pressure goes, Java, our little relief valve, that one will probably go active again. Rincon de Vieja as well. This also, Ruang, that one surprises sometimes. White Island, there's 2 White Islands, Antarctica and the one in New Zealand. So this one in Antarctica is the one we just read about, the steam plumes, gas steam rich plume. Yeah. That one, watch that one, maybe might hop over and be that. Or what's been happening lately, it's a volcano that's on either one of these lists. It's some old dormant volcano that comes to life out of the blue, out of somewhere else. So we have pressure on the rise, pressure building. We're going to see, more volcanic blasts. We'll see a little pickup in the earthquake activity here. We've already seen a little pickup in it. There's more total on the screen, and we've seen an uptick in magnitude. There's some 6 activity out there, right? And this up here, that's a bigger quake for that region when we got 4 volcanoes going off right there. We shouldn't be having quakes that big up there. There must be a lot of pressure in that area. Okay, and then we also have, that's the other one. Okay, so there's your volcano report. Let's get on over now, get our forecast model done here, and then let me open up my radar app. There was still some pretty ugly looking weather heading towards was it Tennessee? No, it was Alabama area. Yeah, right there. Okay, so there's your current conditions right there. Trying to get this app going here. I'm gonna go ahead and play that. Oh, dude, we missed all the data. We got 1 frame. Are you kidding me? Well, can't do a weather report with 1 frame, so we'll have to wait a few minutes while this thing kind of brings up more data. Let me see if I can find what our latest event was going on here. Oops. Well, since we're waiting on that to load up, we'll come back here and just check. Check our solar ham and make sure. All right, yeah, we're still descending out of this X flare right there. Make sure that's fresh data. Yeah, it is. Okay, there it is, X 2.9. Finally got it up there. And it came out of 64. Look at that, 3664. It wasn't out of 91. So, correction. Our new 2.9 came out of region 3664. Our new bad boy that's still behind the limb, just rounding the limb right here, has already produced its first X flare. And hasn't even kind of just rounded the limb yet. Okay, so there we have it. That first X flare out of 3664, and that's not its number. It's old region 3664. When it clears the limb, they will designate it with a new number. It'll be 91, 92, 96. It'll probably be 3697 or 3698. Something like that. It'll be right after this one. Or, 1 or 2 after this latest sunspot that's been named right here. Or numbered, at least. All right. So, for current purposes, it's labeled 3664, but that's the region that will be newly labeled once it clears the limb. All right. And here it is already squeezing off X flares. Just amazing. It's already, well, here we got a couple of frames. All right. That's mainly all I'm concerned about really for the future is this, the rest of this event as it moves out of the south here. We see other moisture creeping up in there. We just got this radar app pulled back up again. It looks like all of our tornado warnings have come down now. Wait, that's up north. Let me look down south here. Okay. And we'll come back to this in a second when we get a little more data. It's coming in 1 little frame at a time over here. So we'll get another chunk of data here in a second. Yeah, it looks like a lot of our tornado warnings have been taken down now, but we do have very violent thunderstorms, a very volatile line doing some crazy activity. We have discrete cells that pop up out front, and the little pop-ups, and they will race northward and collide with the storm front and create rotation just by their collision. It's the oddest thing, like a new kind of weather phenomena. And then I've also shown you our spheres doing their activity as well. All right, so there's your next. Watch this region up here. Right there. So our current conditions, nighttime of the 27th here, or this is the nighttime of the 26th, morning of the 27th now. There's the noon time, so everybody in Georgia area, even up through here, okay, even though they're not showing any severe weather, this app is showing severe weather all the way up there already. Oh no, please just let's see if I can pull this over here for you guys for a second here. Not the best technique, but sometimes it works. I just kind of wanted to back out of here. And once this loads up here, kind of show you your region of the country with severe weather all through there in Tennessee here, in Alabama. Cruising up through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, all the way up into Michigan up in there. Even going up towards Lake Superior up in here, going up into Canada. So back here is another little storm front causing convection. Nothing too serious right now, but we are having some, nocturnal activity here. And, I know. Click that a little bit. Where's that mount? This little trick here. I'm just kind of waiting for some fresh data to come up on the forecast. In the meantime, I just show you what's kind of going on around the country right now and what places there's storm activity heading towards Detroit right there. Not too bad, but it's mainly this right down in here in Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Georgia right there, where we're seeing our activity, our latest, severe storms and stuff. And that looks to be kind of heading towards Atlanta here. As this part closes in, that's coming down. Can you see how eventually it'll reach Atlanta here? And we also have this activity out here, these discrete cells that pop up out in front of this storm line here. So that's activity that right now it's not producing any tornadoes, but there's some large hail, flash flooding, high winds. Last night, I guess I was the only one reporting, but 18 people died last night. Unfortunately, because of the severe weather that we were reporting on during the morning hours. Now, let me get this forecast model pulled up a little bit more. We got a few more frames of data here. I just want to get a little bit more for you. All right, so we can see what's going to happen after tomorrow a little bit. That can go right there. Okay. Current conditions are actually the morning of the 27th there. Pull that down a little bit. Morning of the 27th. Here we go into the noontime. Georgia, northern Georgia, this whole area. Well, actually, that was kind of heading more south. Let me look. But we still have this reaching up into Michigan and everything. So the East Coast tomorrow, even though they're not showing any severe weather, they're still just be on the alert. We'll pray that it doesn't happen. But there's the convection tomorrow. And here we are with, this is going to get ugly. New York, Long Island, Pennsylvania, that region right there. Convection tomorrow. That's 992 millibar low with severe weather up here in Canada. This little line coming right down there. It might continue all the way down. That might be one long continuous QLC, quasi-linear convective storm front. So we'll have to watch that time frame tomorrow. Everybody on the East Coast, all right? I'd say from Florida all the way up the coast right there. Tomorrow at convection, I would be well aware of where you are, what you are doing, and what your weather is doing. Especially around here. There's going to be... all right, let's just start getting into it then, I guess. We're going to see power outages, flash flooding, large hail, damage to cars, damage to, hail damage to roofs, cars, windows, all kinds of high winds. Even if there aren't tornadoes, it's still going to be a nasty, nasty storm. So that's your convection tomorrow. We saw what all this storm just did the last couple of convections when it moved through, this region and when it moved through this region. So over the course of the couple of days, it's been nothing but creating havoc and chaos. And here we are, another round of convection hitting the East Coast just at the right time at convection there. Let's take you one more frame into the nighttime. There's still potential for nighttime right through there. The morning of the 28th, noon, convection, nighttime. All right, so the 28th now, we're looking at, nighttime convection again, severe weather down in Texas, Louisiana, popping up back up in here, this whole area, all right, tomorrow night. Well, the day after tomorrow night, the 28th. It's the night of the 28th. Morning of the 29th, and that's all we got for right now. So a lot of this nocturnal activity. Last night when we went through this, there were 10, 11 days in a row there where it was just nocturnal, severe weather at night and in the morning hours. Well, we just saw what happened last night, catching people off guard when they're sleeping. I wish I had more viewers. I wish I had a bigger voice or a bigger platform. Anyways, could have saved some lives last night. Anyway, there's your activity or your forecast. So still residual in the noontime there. Maybe fading down here, but still convecting up here now because there's colder air up here. Now, their hatch risk may not be that high, but all of a sudden, every time that they make this prediction, they have to up it. So let's just pray, everybody, for the East Coast tomorrow during convection in the nighttime hours right there. Okay, and that's, oops. Dang it. I did not mean to request that photograph. Want this back. Please, thank you. Noon, the 29th. Morning of the 29th, nighttime of the 28th. We're kind of going backwards. Convection the 28th, noon. So noon the 28th, convection. Nighttime, that's going to be ugly right there. If that hits the Dallas-Fort Worth area, this could be, hitting a lot of populated area out there. Tomorrow night. Then we have the morning of the 29th, noon. All right, and that's it. Right there. Bingo. All right, so that's it for a weather, spiritual, or geophysical, astrophysics. Time to do some metaphysics, I guess. And where should we take it tonight? Let's take it to, what do we get? Oh, actually, Wages is just going live, so why don't we just do a quick little reading and get out of here, because I want to get over there too and see what he's reporting on as well. So for those of you who want to go over there, go ahead, and we'll just you can come back for the reading later. For those of you who are here for this part, stick around. We'll do it. I had some stuff last night that I wanted to read, and I didn't get to it. All right, pull that one open for right now. Instead of spending our time just surfing around, stick your foundation right there. Hold on with everything you got to that right there. That is your foundation to hold on to and to build from. Okay? It's a real event that took place on Easter. 2,000-year-old prophecy came true on Easter. Not on Cinco de Mayo, not on Ramadan, not on the Feast of Trumpets, not on it happened on Easter. Should shake you to your core. Now, when we do this here, I need to take a deep breath. And I think all of you should probably take a deep breath, because what we're reporting on is very disturbing, okay? When you think it's not the truth and it's all fantasy, well, then it's not disturbing. And you have nothing to worry about then, right? But when you see that what I'm showing you is reality and it's disturbing and scary, you're going to need this right here to help you maintain your composure and keep your right mind, especially with all the stuff that's going on now. So when you're looking at that, you're seeing me in the clouds. You are like caught up in the moment. It's like being caught up in a song, caught up in a good movie. You're caught up with, that's me in the clouds, and you're caught up with looking at me in the clouds. So there is no rapture in the Bible. It's the catching away, being caught up. And if you are caught up, then let me anoint you with my presence. I am King of Kings and Lord of Lords, dwelling in unapproachable light. When you draw near to me, I respond by coming closer to you. My presence envelops you. You may feel overwhelmed by my power and glory, but this is a form of worship, sensing your smallness in comparison to my greatness. See, man has tended to make himself the measure of all things, but man's measure is too tiny to comprehend my majestic vastness. That is why most people do not see me at all, even though they live and move and have their being in me. So, you're not those. You're the ones that live and move. You actually live now. You actually move now. in me. You have your being in me now. And if you have reached that point, then enjoy the radiant beauty of my presence. Declare my glorious being to the world. What happens when they all find out? What happens when they all find out Jesus is back? That's going to turn everybody's heads upside down. All these wars, all these people thought this was that and that. Oh, they were all wrong. Everybody was wrong. I am with you, watching over you constantly. I am Emmanuel, God with you. My presence enfolds you in radiant love. Nothing, including the brightest blessings and the darkest trials, can separate you from me. Some of my children find me more readily during the dark times, when difficulties force them to depend on me. That's how most people find me, when their difficulties force them to depend on me. But others feel closer to me when their lives are filled with good things. They respond with thanksgiving and praise, thus opening wide the door to my presence. I know precisely what you need, and I know precisely what you need to draw nearer to me. So go through each day looking for what I have prepared for you. Accept every event as my hand-tailored provision for your needs. When you view your life from this way, the most reasonable response is to be thankful. When you have finally viewed your life from that perspective, the most reasonable response is to be thankful. So do not reject any of my gifts. Find me in every situation. Time with me cannot be rushed. When you're in a hurry, your mind flitters back and forth between me and the tasks ahead of you. So push back the demands pressing in on you. Create a safe space around you, a haven in which you can rest with me. I also desire this time of focused attention, and I use it to bless you, strengthening and equipping you for the day and the weeks and the months and the time ahead. Thus, spending time with me is a wise investment. Bring me the sacrifice of your precious time, and this creates the sacred space around you, the space permeated with my presence and my peace. Yep, one last one here. Okay, that piece that I'm telling you, the space should be permeated with my presence and my peace. The peace that I give you transcends your own intellect. When most of your mental energy goes into the efforts to figure things out, you are unable to receive the glorious gift. You're too busy trying to figure things out instead of just receiving this gift that I'm showing you right here. I look into your mind and I see thoughts spinning round and round, going nowhere, accomplishing nothing. All the while, my peace hovers over you, searching for a place to land. So, be still in my presence, inviting me to control your thoughts. Let my light soak into your mind and heart until you are aglow with the very being, with my very being. Okay? Let my light soak into your mind and heart until you are glowing. That is the most effective way to receive my peace. Okay? All right, that was a little quick one. I want to go check out Wages World. I love you all. God bless you all. And until my next show, I will be back, and I'll be over at Wages here in just a sec. So love you all. See you there. Bye.